Hey guys, this is Drakor. Welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today I'm continuing my X-Men Marvel Legends Age of Apocalypse Series 2 Marvel Legends reviews. And today we are going to move on with our next figure in that wave, the Age of Apocalypse version of Sabertooth. Now, in this reality, he is a hero, not a villain. And on the X-Men side, I picked this up at TC's Rockets along with all the other Age of Apocalypse action figures. And yeah, he's really a cool character. And definitely one of the best figures from that wave. In fact, he's one of the harder ones to get now. Uh, Mainly because he is actually a much bulkier Sabertooth than we typically get. And people like that size a lot better. Now, like I said, I got TC's Rockets. That's here in San Diego, California at 5155 Waring Road, San Diego, California, 92116. Or if you're unable to make it out here to San Diego, you can always just go to https://www.tcsrockets.com. Information will be in the description below for you to go over there, get something cool. They still have quite a few of these Age of Apocalypse figures. Not sure if Sabertooth is among them. Like I stated before, he is actually quite popular from this wave. So in the packaging, we have Sabertooth, his Build-A-Figure piece, which is Colossus's head, an additional Sabertooth head. His regular head is more of a smirk. This one's more of an angry, like, I'm going to kill you head. And then he comes with open hands, Ari on the body, and then two closed fists. And that is what he comes with. And as you can see, we have the nice art of a very feral looking Sabertooth with claws extended, and that same Apocalypse that is on all this, that same Apocalypse picture that's on all the figures in this wave. Now let's read his bio. After betraying Apocalypse and making his escape, Sabertooth joins with the mutant rebels, the X-Men, to fight for good in a harsh dystopian future. And that's his bio, and there it is in multiple languages. There's a full-size blown-up picture of that really cool Sabertooth artwork. Now, that mentions how he was actually working for Apocalypse and betrayed him. One thing that they do not say on the back of this is one of the main reasons he betrayed him was not only because his conscience was really bothering him, but the one thing that really brought his conscience to forward to make him realize what he was doing was wrong is he actually met Blink when she was actually a prisoner in that prison, and he saw how innocent she was, and he wanted to save her. And also in the process of saving her, realized it was a good idea to try and save all the other mutants and then fight Apocalypse. They actually have a very strong father-daughter relationship in the Age of Apocalypse universe. So that's pretty cool because we just reviewed her figure not too long ago. And we actually have another one of his close familial relationships that we'll be reviewing later, and that's Wildchild from the first Age of Apocalypse wave. It's interesting because Wildchild acts more like an animal in this universe. It's kind of like, I don't want to say pet, but it's kind of like his pet. Like, he literally has a chain for him. But he cares for him, and they care for each other, so it's interesting. Anyways, so this is the Colossus Build-A-Figure wave. There's Colossus's head. That's the part that he comes with. The other figures in this wave are Magneto, which we've reviewed. Rogue, we've reviewed her. Cyclops, we have not reviewed him yet. Sabertooth, which we are reviewing now. Kitty Pryde, or also known as Shadowcat. I keep calling her Kitty Pryde, but it's Shadowcat. Same character. Haven't reviewed her yet. Our next review will be Iceman. So that's coming up soon. And then Legion, who we reviewed last time. So that's pretty much it for the packaging and some of the info about the character, where you can get this guy or some of the other Age of Apocalypse figures. So let's pause for a minute, get him open, and let's see what he's all about and see how cool he is. Alright, now here's Sabertooth out of the packaging. I know it's a really weird pose, but this guy's kind of, he's very, his proportions are kind of heavy and weird, so I wasn't able to really stand him up quick enough uh, in a way I liked to start the video on. I mean, given time, I'm sure you can pose him just fine, but I just wanted to continue with the video, so this is the pose we got. So first we're going to start with this, because this one's actually kind of worrying me. This is the Build-A-Figure piece of Colossus, and in the Age of Apocalypse universe, he wore a red bandana that covered an entire half of his head. He still steeled up and became very, like, made of metal. But this piece, which is his little bandana tie, comes separate in there, and it's a little ball joint that you just plug in, and then it can twist and move. But I'm trying to be very careful, because as you can see, if you accidentally bend these, and not just the ball joint where you can twist it, because that's where the articulation is, you get these stress marks. I don't know if you can see those. It's got these little stress marks. I don't think it'll break off, but it worries me that these little tassels will break off if I'm not careful with them, and I don't want to do that, especially since I have not even began to assemble the Build-A-Figure. So Build-A-Figure piece out of the way. Other accessories he comes with. So he comes with an additional head. Like I said, this is the angry, like, he berserker rage, he's just gonna destroy something head. In this universe, he keeps his hair in a long ponytail. Both of the heads have this. It is a separate piece that you have to then plug in. But unlike the Colossus head, it is not a ball joint. It is just a swivel, and so it can only do this. And that's actually the exact same type of ponytail he has right here on the regular head too. In fact, I think the sculpt is almost identical. Probably is, because honestly, you don't really need to change that much for the character. And then his other accessories is his two closed fists. This one with a metal plate on it to go with the metal band on his arm. And that's actually the arm he uses to hold Wildchild's chain. And then just a brown gloved version that is his left hand. And it's just a brown gloved closed fist, which is still pretty awesome. His costume, we're going to go over it and its details. So, as I said, and I will continue to say, the Age of Apocalypse, one of two things is usually on your costume. You either have a collar with rivets, or you have face paint. Now, what's funny is Sabertooth actually, in the first issue of the Age of Apocalypse storyline, had face paint. He had like a little, I believe it was like a little chin paint, and then they just did away with it like within like an issue. So this figure doesn't have it, because the majority of the storyline he does not have it. Then we have his nice orange suit, sleeveless suit, with again the brown collar, solid brown belt, no buckle. Don't know how he gets it to stay. But that is a loose, separate piece. Not loose, but it's separate. Like, you can move it a little bit to get some movement out of it. Plain brown gloves, but then this plain brown glove is covered with a metal armband and a metal hand plate. And again, this is on his right hand, and this is the one that he uses to hold Wildchild's chain. Like, Wildchild usually is either perched near him, like kind of crouched on the ground, or sometimes even climbs up onto his back. His arms actually have some really cool, I like it, but it's a little weird. It's this little cool, like, painted hair detail, but then he's also got molded hair detail, and they don't match up, so that's why it's kind of throwing me off. But overall, like, from a distance or just looking at it, it actually looks pretty good. It actually works. He's got his orange pants and some simple brown boots with the cuffs at the top. And his hair is actually tied with a brown hair tie. He has some really decently painted blue eyes that you can actually see on the head sculpt. And on the smirking one, you can only make out the hint of a tooth on the right-hand side of his face. Good sculpted ears, nice giant mutton chops, very Sabertooth, very awesome. And then, if he will stand, he probably will. We'll look at his eyes here are pupilless, and they actually went for... So whenever they do white pupilless eyes on Marvel Legends, sometimes they'll do actual white paint, and then other times they'll do a pearlescent white, and they went with a pearlescent white with a black border around it. And you can actually see he's got really well detailed teeth. You can even see the sharp ones. And then this same basic... Everything else is basically the same. Like, I feel like the only major piece that is different is the actual face. Like, even the hair's in the same style, which is probably why they use the same ponytail for this head. Again, same metal plate. I've already showed you that. So now articulation time. He's got pretty good articulation, and because he's got a very simple paint scheme and not too many colors overlapping, you don't get a lot of interference, and he also doesn't have a lot of extraneous additional parts that make it difficult for him to move. So full T-pose achievable. I mean, it's a little shallower than I'd like, but honestly, I'm calling it full T-pose. It's pretty good. Full 360 rotation of this arm, of both arms. And just put that one down because it's the same articulation on both sides. Single jointed elbow, which is kind of weird, but I guess for a larger figure, it kind of makes sense. So he gets 90 degrees at his single jointed elbow. Most of the male figures usually have double jointed elbows, so that's interesting. 360 twist at the upper arm. 360 at the wrist, plus a hinge joint, and he can go up that far and down that far. The hands and head are replaceable, but I'm not going to do that in the video. It works pretty well. I've tried it before. His head can go down that far, which is actually fairly decent. He does get a little bit of the lollipop look, but not nearly as bad as the female figures. His head can go back, but you have to twist his hair. And then his head can go back and look up about that far, but you have to remember to twist his hair out of the way. Then he has full 360 head rotation, ponytail full 360. This is a separate piece that is just pegged into his back via that same port that they use for capes sometimes. He has torso articulation. He has an ab crunch that can go forward. Can go forward that far. Back that far. So not super far back, but honestly that's more realistic than if he went all the way back. He does have waist rotation, full 360, and the belt does not get in the way. Legs, he cannot do the full splits. That's as much as you're getting, which is fine. It's a much bigger character. You can kind of force the full splits by, not really. It's the bulkier frame, so you really can't. His legs can go up that far. So let's twist his leg correctly so it's actually lined up. But his legs can go that far forward. It can't really go back that far. Again, anatomy in the way, and you can't really do that trick where you can pull out his leg because of the frame. The bigger frame just prevents it. Upper thigh rotation, full 360. He does have a double joint knee. Now, these sometimes are tricky because either the top one will work great and the bottom one will be bad. Well, when you first do it, or vice versa. And But no, he gets them both. They're both working pretty good. Still, even though it's a double jointed, again, bulky figure, so only about 90 degrees. But both of the joints work pretty good. Then he hasn't got any upper boot swivel, has no boot swivel, no twist here, as far as I can tell. No lower boot swivel either. He does have his foot where his joint where his foot can go back that far, and then go forward this far. And then he does indeed have ankle pivot, which is standard on these type of figures. And that's his articulation. It's actually pretty good articulation, I think. And overall, this is a great figure. I thoroughly enjoy this figure. I am a huge Sabertooth fan, especially the more heroic versions of him, like the Age of Apocalypse version. So I'm stoked to have this, and I can't wait to show y'all. I'm going to probably do a picture with him with Wild Child once I review them both, because I think that's just going to be really cool. They were always a really cool team. Maybe even have Blink in there, like a family photo. But yeah, this is just a really cool character, really cool figure. I think it is very well executed. My only gripes is I would have liked a double jointed elbow and maybe a pivot at the top of the boot, or a twist at the top of the boot. But it's not a deal breaker. And with everything that he does have, you can pretty much get every pose you want. Another thing I would have liked is if instead of just open hands, he would have had open hands with claws extended. Because in this version, he could retract or bring out his claws. And his open hands, you don't get any claws on them, which is like, that's kind of one of Sabertooth's things. But overall, it's a great figure. I'm going to say out of 10, an 8.5, because I did have quite a few, a little bit of a list of nitpicks. But still a great figure, and still definitely worth picking up. So please tell me what you think of the figure. Please like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and share this video if you can. And then also hit me up in the comments when you're commenting and let me know what figures you want to see next after I finish my Age of Apocalypse figures. We still got quite a few to get through, but I have a decent amount of Marvel Legends, Power Rangers, and Star Wars. So if there's something that you want to see and I have it, I'll be happy to do a video. But yeah, until then, this is Dracor signing out. Thank you for watching. Enjoy your day, and I will see you next time with Iceman.